Did you ever get anxiety or felt guilty about yourself whenever looking at health influencers saying, oh, if you have one bad night of sleep, it's going to cause this, and that?
You can cause even acute insulin resistance after like a night of sleep deprivation.
Or if you don't eat these foods, or if you eat these foods, then this is going to happen to you. Well, in today's video, we will talk about what happens psychologically when you consume that content and what we can do about it. How we can reduce the guilt, the shame, and the stress for not keeping up with these multimillionaires, influencers who are telling us what we should be doing. But obviously, because we're humans and we have work and we have other demands, we cannot do everything that is optimal for human health. If you don't know who I am, hello, my name is Anna, and I am a graduate psychology student currently working with veterans. So let's get into it. The first theory I want to talk about is social comparison. Psychologist Leon Festinger proposed that humans have a fundamental drive to evaluate ourselves, our opinions, our abilities, our choices, by basically comparing ourselves to others. And we do this constantly and mostly unconsciously. The issue is that we tend to compare upward rather than downward. So we don't compare ourselves with people who are at the same level or doing quote unquote worse than ourselves, but we compare ourselves with people who are better than us. And this obviously can motivate us. However, research shows that upward comparison, especially when the gap feels large and the other person seems unreachable, tends to produce feelings of inadequacy, shame, and anxiety. Let's take, for example, Bryan Johnson. So he spends around $2 million every year for the perfect routine for his health. He literally has a team of doctors, chefs, a custom-built protocol, and that's not an upward comparison, but it's literally a different planet because obviously most people don't have that amount of money to invest on their health, right? But your brain doesn't distinguish that. Your brain thinks, oh, I'm not doing enough compared to this individual. And disclaimer, I do love Bryan Johnson and I love what he's actually doing because I think he gives us a lot of information about human health. And it's good research in general, honestly. I know it's not maybe generalizable to the whole population because he's the only quote unquote individual in this experiment, but it's still good. It's still good data. However, let me give you an example of how people feel this anxiety and shame when maybe reading one of his posts on YouTube or Instagram, because sometimes they seem very like exaggerated, like, oh, if you eat this, then this is going to happen. But usually what makes a person healthy, it's what is done consistently rather than, oh, one time I ate pizza or I went out with my friends and I don't know, we ate burgers, like balance is key and consistency is key as well. And if you try your best to eat healthy, get enough hours of sleep and work out, move your body, do resistance training, you're fine. Like you're literally very healthy as long as you're trying your best. But if you cannot get 8 hours of sleep every day, or maybe you're not the person that needs 8 hours of sleep, you're fine. And if you want to eat a piece of chocolate every day or a piece of candy every day, that's fine too. For example, one of his recent posts was, here's a snapshot of the biological insult from international travel. It takes your body over 2 weeks to fully recover. It's a big price tag. One international trip per quarter is a reasonable balance. Time to recover, sleep duration, 2 days, group strength, 5 days, mood, 1 week, cortisol, 9 days, sleep quality, 2 weeks, blood glucose, 2 weeks. So imagine someone who travels for their job, how they must feel when reading this. They must feel probably horrible about their health. It's like, oh, is this really happening when I travel internationally? Like, this is what is happening to my body. I'm basically destroying my body. But guess what? Stressing about this is actually going to kill you faster. And this one is probably not something that you relate a lot to unless you do travel a lot. But Let me read you another one that you may relate more to. This post says, go to bed, same time every night, non-negotiable. If kids, tell them they're on their own. You have a schedule to keep, no kids, no excuses. Best thing you can do for yourself and others. Better mood, more willpower, clearer mind, better human. And I get it, and it comes from a sense of wanting to help people. However, it's almost impossible to go to sleep at the exact same time every night. There's always going to be like that 30 minutes difference or maybe an hour. Like people have work and then they have to go to the gym or, prioritize their families and friends. And of course, put yourself first. However, I don't think it's a big deal. Like, quite honestly, I don't think it's a big deal if you don't go to sleep every night at exact the same time. You stressing about it, oh my gosh, today I didn't go to sleep at the same time as yesterday, is going to be worse for your health, overall health, rather than you not stressing about it and not going to sleep at the same time every night. I derailed a little bit, so let's go back to the theories. Basically, what health influencers are telling us is that there is a perfect way to live and anything less is a failure. We call this perfectionism pressure, which actually has been linked to elevated cortisol, reduced intrinsic motivation. And here's the irony, worse health outcomes. So the stress of feeling like you're never doing enough is in itself a significant health burden. And let's go to the nocebo effect. You've probably heard of the placebo effect, where believing something produces measurable benefits, right? But what is the nocebo effect? It's the exact opposite. So being told something might harm you can actually produce symptoms of harm. So again, I love knowledge, but sometimes all these health people telling us you're doing this wrong, you're supposed to do this, and that, are causing the nocebo effect. So we're actually getting more damage than good. It's good to have the knowledge, but stressing about it is no good. So we're going to learn how to reduce the guilt and shame and being able to not stress about it. So let's look at the psychological techniques that we can use to reduce the guilt and shame. So there is this foundational CBT skill where basically you restructure a distorted thought by examining it systematically. The next time you watch a health video and you feel guilty or anxiety about it, write down an automatic thought. The exact words that popped up in your head. Something like, oh, I'm slowly ruining my health. I don't take care of myself. I'm not disciplined enough. And ask yourself, what is the evidence for this thought? Not your feelings, but the actual evidence. For example, I went to bed late 3 times this week. So write it down. And what is the evidence against this thought? I exercised twice. I cooked most of my meals. I drank water. I went to my last doctor's appointment. Write it all down. And so we're confusing feelings with facts. So sometimes feeling like you're not doing enough is not the same as actually not doing enough. So what would you say to a close friend who had this thought? Like, oh, I'm not doing enough. I feel guilty even though they're doing enough. Probably trying to find the evidence against their statement, right? Like, oh, but you're actually pretty healthy. You do work out, you do eat grains. So if you do this consistently, so you challenge your thoughts and you find evidence against that negative, driven, guilt-driven, and shame-driven thought, then you're able to alleviate the anxiety and the stress that you get from reading those posts or looking at other people's lives, quote unquote, being perfect when it comes to their health. And there is another CBT technique, which is basically identifying cognitive distortions. So there is the all or nothing thinking, there is the catastrophizing, the should statements, personalization, and emotional reasoning. So what is the all or nothing thinking? Is saying, for example, if I'm not doing everything that this person is doing, like Bryan Johnson, Andrew Huberman, or whoever, I'm doing nothing, or like I'm not doing enough. And that's not true. Another thing that you can do is to write down every day all the activities that you do that are actually good for you. For example, eating a nutritious meal, drinking enough water, taking a nap, working out, taking a walk, cuddling with your pet. Write them down, and then at the end of the week, look at that and look at how much you're actually doing for your health. I hope this is going to help you manage your anxiety around people who are telling you, oh, in order to be healthy, you have to do all of these things. And so if you like this episode, put a like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.